from who has Quincy in his district, as a matter of fact.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for recognizing that as well. I'd associate with some of the comments made by Mr. Sutherland here. You are in a tough position here. Mr. Tidwell, I do appreciate your being here and trying to help us work through this process here. We did have a good visit recently with some of your personnel in the Quincy area, and so we're working that as a new member here to have this outreach and see what can we accomplish, as conditions aren't likely to change a whole lot with politics and all that very, very soon. We need to be successful. But I can certainly echo some of the great amount of frustration, not just as members on this panel here, but from our constituents as well. So when you speak of a balanced approach, and I would really harken back to one of the worst fire seasons we had in California, North California, back in 2008, where a big source of it was in Trinity County, for example, here, an area I had the opportunity to represent for a couple of years in our state Senate and was in this congressional district till it shifted. My colleague from the other side of the aisle in California has that now. But those folks were pleading for help for long-term fire suppression. The town of Weaverville, for example, practically burned in an area of, say, 12 years ago, and then just a few years later, because nothing had been done with those public lands there to take care of the salvage and the brush and all that other waste that comes after a fire, it comes back through and burns again in 7 years. You can fly over the checkerboard of public versus private land, or even in some cases land that's managed by California, and see a dramatic difference post-fire, say 5 to 7 years, of basically the private property has been recovered, it's been salvaged, it's been planted back. It's starting to look pretty good again, versus our federal lands, which are still basically the same mess they were right after that previous fire due to many reasons. I wonder, why aren't we having a much more concerted effort to put aside the nonsense, and when we have an opportunity to do salvage, do it within that first 6 months or that first year, where there's still value out there, and the people in the private sector can come in and help make that a better situation, instead of the next tinderbox whenever, in just a few short years it may happen again. So again, there's not balance out there. The people, this was 2008. I was a Sacramento legislator at the time, and the air that summer was brown all summer long, even 150 miles away from a Trinity County fire that I could point to my colleagues. See all that? That's the poor forest management going on up in my neighborhood there, as well as the people that live there, the air quality. Their kids couldn't go outside, even in my neighborhood, which is about 100 miles away, to play and do things in the summer air like you normally would. And when it's 10 times the impact in Trinity County, I mean, it's just flat unhealthy for all the different types of people there, lower income folks, tribes, everybody that's there that doesn't have a lot of options to move away, because the federal government is not doing its job. And it's not going to come from an endless amount of money in the Treasury to try and fix this. The federal government doesn't have the money to be out managing the land. It needs to get the private sector as the partner to go out and help do this under carefully prescribed timber harvest plan measures, which in California we have a timber harvest plan. I don't think they actually read it. I think they just weigh it compared to other surrounding states. But we've managed to move legislation on that, and I thank my colleague on there helping move that through our state committee. I think it was on my birthday, I think, even we did one of those. But we've got to do much better with getting the private sector, getting the local people, and having the true balance of the people that have to live and do with this, rather than somebody thousands of miles away that thinks it's ideal somehow to be advocating for buying more land that can't be managed when we have so much that isn't managed now. It's really the height of insanity to just sensible people out here have to live with their poor communities and the risk that they're at of their town burning down, and certainly of the health risk. So I guess that's more of a statement too, but we do want to work with the locals there. We're going to have that positive dialogue, but we got to have some real things come from the top down on doing much, much better, getting more sales out there to the private sector that can make this happen. We want timber products, we use wood products in California. Why should they not come from California or from their area of origin instead of imported from maybe even out of the country? So this is what we need big help on, and I'll be patient for a while, but I might start getting a little more fired up like some of my colleagues here, because it's affecting my people and really all Americans. Thank you.
Time of the gentleman
I
has
yield back.